Big swings in the front office, bigger swings in the batter's box. Mark Rogers TV on the 2013 Cleveland Indians after the Tribe's front office committed $117 million in the offseason to bring in guys like Nick Swisher, Michael Bourn, Mark Reynolds, and Brett Myers. Let's talk about the pluses and minuses, starting on the good side. All that power. Nick Swisher with the Yankees last season, 24 home runs, 93 RBIs, has hit as many as 30, and had a .364 on-base percentage for the Yankees last season. So he's a guy that walks a lot. Yes, he strikes out, but also hits the long ball. He will most likely hit cleanup on most days in Cleveland. Also, Mark Reynolds. Bad season for Baltimore most of the campaign in 2012. Poured it on in September to finish with 23 home runs and a .221 batting average. Mark Reynolds, a big swing and miss guy, as we know, has hit as many as 44 home runs in Arizona. Also, you've got Carlos Santana at catcher. 2 years ago, 27 home runs in kind of a breakout season, but we expect more of Carlos Santana. Got off to a horrible start in 2012, poured it on in the second half, and again, Carlos Santana, like Swisher, swings and misses, but he also gets on base. He's got a nice batting eye, and we expect him to come close to that 27 home run total from 2011. Go out to shortstop and see one of the best power-hitting shortstops in baseball. Asdrubal Cabrera, 24 home runs 2 years ago. He's probably going to be more in line with his 2012 production. .270, 16 home runs, and 68 RBI. His double-play partner is Jason Kipnis, who for the first time in the bigs got a chance to play every day, started just about every day, knocked in 76, stole 31 bases, and he's a guy that could hit more than 14 home runs as he did in 2012. Power all over the place in looking at this team. Possibly Lonnie Chisenhall steps up as well. A top prospect in the Indians farm system for the past few seasons, hit 5 home runs in 142 at-bats. One other guy we've got to mention in the mix is probably the best pure hitter on the team, and that's Michael Brantley, moving from center to right, or to left field actually, to make room for Michael Bourn in center. Brantley, .288, and his contact is going to be a key. I'd like to see him hit second. I've seen projections of Brantley hitting sixth to break up all the swing and miss guys. But Brantley, a very dependable hitter, a guy that gets his bat on the baseball, and expect him as he gets older to hit for more power, probably in the 15 to 18 range per season. We didn't forget about Drew Stubbs coming in from Cincinnati. Drew Stubbs with a poor season in 2012 with the Reds. A big swing and miss guy again. This is going to be the theme, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. Drew Stubbs has stolen more than 30 in the big leagues and hit more than 20 home runs. So they've got 20 home run hitters all over the place in Cleveland. Another big plus for this team is the outfield defense. Brantley in left, Stubbs in right, Michael Bourn in center. All these guys can play center field legitimately. The defense is great in the outfield and pretty decent overall, especially with the spectacular Asdrubal Cabrera at shortstop. The bullpen is close to lights out. It's kind of thin, but the top 3 guys are really solid. Chris Perez in the back end of the bullpen, a .359 ERA, 39 saves. He goes through stretches where he blows up, but for the most part, he is stout. Again, not one of the elite closers in baseball, but he's in that top 10 to top 12 range. Chris Perez, 39 saves last season. Most notably, though, Vinny Pastano, 70 innings pitched, 53 hits given up, had a .235 ERA. Vinny Pastano, one of the best setup men in baseball. I would offer it up to the Cleveland front office to lock this guy up for a long time. He's potentially the closer down the road. Then coming from underneath on the right side is Joe Smith with a .269 ERA as well. And Joe Smith gave up less hits than innings pitched, just like Vinny Pastano. So it's the power, it's the bullpen, and it's the outfield defense on the plus side. Unfortunately, Indians fans, looking at the downside, we start with the rotation. Justin Masterson is the #1 guy. Is he a #1? Well, he pitched close to that 2 years ago when he finished with a .315 ERA. Not so much last year when he knocked on the door of a 5 ERA at .493. Justin Masterson certainly has big potential, swing and miss stuff, moves the ball all over the place, has a sling motion that creates natural movement, but he's not controlled within the strike zone, lays up a lot of balls to be racked into the alleys in right and left center field. So Justin Masterson, not a legitimate number one, but definitely the best pitcher in this staff, because we then go to Ubaldo Jimenez, who was brought with Drew Pomeranz and Alex White going to Colorado to Cleveland mid-2011 to save this team and keep them in contention toward a playoff spot, but the Indians collapsed and Ubaldo collapsed as well. Remember that 19-8 season in 2010, and most notably after starting the All-Star game, 12-1 first half, sub-2 ERA. That Jimenez does not exist anymore, and he's not coming back. 5.40 ERA. He's brutal to watch. He nibbles at the corners. He's lost 3 to 4 miles per hour off his fastball, and he walks a ton of guys. Again, 5.40 ERA last season. Since that spectacular first half of 2010, Ubaldo Jimenez, 26-37 with a 5 ERA, but he's the number 2 starter in Cleveland. The number 3 guy, the Indians should have more confidence in Brett Myers. The last time he started full-time was in Houston in 2010. He went 14-8 with a 3.14 ERA. The Indians would take that. Last season with the White Sox in 70 relief appearances, a 3.31 ERA. Brett Myers is a professional, and the Indians would certainly like to see him solidify that number 3 spot in the rotation. At number 4, you've got Zach McAllister, a youngster. McAllister, 11 starts last year with a 4.24 ERA and 6-8 record. Now the surprise of camp, one of the big surprises in baseball. Scott Kazmir has won the 5th rotation spot in Cleveland after a spectacular camp and spectacular spring training games. You got to go back all the way to 2008 to see where this guy was what he was supposed to be. He strung together 4 really solid seasons in Tampa Bay, culminated by helping lead Tampa Bay to the World Series in 2008 when he won 13 games and had a 3.49 ERA. His ERA was in the low 3s for 4 consecutive seasons in Tampa Bay, but then arm troubles really messed him up. He's only pitched 1 inning in the big leagues since 2010, most recently with the Angels down the stretch a couple years ago in going to the playoffs there. So Scott Kazmir, definitely a wild card for this rotation. Now, if he and Myers pitch like they did a few years ago in starting roles, then this rotation suddenly becomes decent. On the surface, though, talking about counting on anyone outside of Justin Masterson maybe is a stretch. And with Zach McAllister, 6-8, 4.24, and 11 starts as a youngster, can't count on him. So actually, Myers is probably the best bet to do anything in the rotation and to be able to be counted upon for specific numbers, probably about 12 to 13 wins for Brett Myers. But the rest of the staff is all over the place. And again, the Indians are hoping Jimenez comes back to what he was, but that's not going to happen. It's just been too long. He's lost too much, and he's lost a ton of confidence. Back to the lineup and all the swings and misses. This is what I don't like about this team. Too many guys with 150-plus Ks. Michael Bourn, even the leadoff hitter, struck out 155 times last season. Swisher, Santana, Reynolds, all these guys swing and miss. Drew Stubbs as well. Mark Reynolds has posted 4 of the highest strikeout seasons in Major League history. I'm going to make one guarantee for this team and one guarantee for this season. The Cleveland Indians will lead all of the Major League Baseball in strikeouts for a lineup. Mark it down. So the pluses, we didn't even talk about the manager, Terry Francona. Great hire by Cleveland. The bullpen, the power, the outfield defense. The minuses, though, are way too much to overcome, specifically rotation. You need to pitch. You need the starting pitcher to win in Major League Baseball, and too many swings and misses in the lineup. This team's going to score like 13 once a week, then they're going to hit solo home runs and strike out a ton the rest of the time. The Indians win 75 games. Would love to hear what you have to say about the 2013 Tribe here on Mark Rogers TV.